Okay, sorry, I was trying to move. There we go. Move the screen. Oh, maybe that one's stuck now. Okay. Anyway, there we go. Here is the Pellergonium X Hortorum. I should figure out how you say that. I've never pronounced any of these weird hybrids before. I think it's cross Hortorum, Pellergonium cross Hortorum, but don't bet on that. Not real money anyway. Anyway, so these ones are usually people just call them geraniums. In fact, its common name is the common geranium. However, those botanists, they figured out that these are they're really not geraniums because the geraniums like don't have succulents. Their geraniums are not have these kind of more woody. Anyway, other things too, I'm sure. But so they're just a different branch on the geranium family tree. And speaking of, they are in the Geraniaceae family, and they are in the order of Geraniales, Pelargoniums. So there's a whole bunch of different kinds of these. These are the ones that are a little bit lower growing, and often these are bedding plants. In fact, I think if I looked at the Plant California list, the one that we use, I think these are under bedding plants. So bedding plants, by the way, if that's not a term that's familiar to you, are kind of boring. They're, I don't know, this weird group of plants that people who have too much money and hire landscaper people, usually it's a whole weird cultural thing, to like put these bedding plants in. Like every season, like if you go to the place where they organize the Rose Bowl, it's that kind of, where you have grounds and you have these annual bedding plant beds and you need spots of color, and it's just not my thing. Also because a lot of these bedding plants are really just short, weird versions of, sorry, it's more cat hijinks, short, weird versions of much taller and really kind of more lovely tall things. Anyway, so Pelargonium cross Hortorum. But there were some really pretty ones of these. I didn't find a whole lot of them because on the Creative Commons it's really hard if it has a weird name and it's like a hybrid to find a lot of good images, and I just didn't have time to really scour Google for other ones. So anyway, I think Sunset Western Garden book describes what makes these different from the geraniums. So pelargoniums are a little bit more sensitive to weather. They're frost tender, so they will freeze. That also makes sense if their stems are kind of thick and succulent. The base often will get woody. In fact, in my yard, I have they're really nice. They're really great. These, there's like Martha Washington, and there's like Mai Tai that's kind of a citrusy smell, and the one that, Citronella, which is kind of nice for keeping the bugs away. And they're like mint scented and chocolate scented, and they're very nice at a vase too. I know, speaking of someone who's like too bourgeois for her own good, my little flower business. So yes, indeed, they're kind of nice. They're not really super pretty though in the landscape. I mean, this looks really nice because it's just brand new, but they start to sprawl, and I think maybe you have to maintain them, which is not something that I do. Anyway, there's like the plants your grandma used to grow, right? There was one picture, I didn't include it, of a pot in some little alcove in like an adobe house, and it was, you couldn't really see the plant very well, but it's very quintessential kind of geranium in a pot. You know, they're nice, they're make really handy potted plants, they're pretty pops of color, and certainly they're much loved by pollinators, so that's good, right? And I think also people use them to flavor, I think the leaves can be used, but I'm not sure how now that I say that. I have this idea that you can use it to make a cake. That makes no sense to me now, though. I don't know if the fragrance doesn't always translate to flavor, but it's worth looking into if you just want to use what's in your yard. There we go, and a whole bunch of information about how big they get. Like this is true of almost anything. In the hottest climates, which is Pasadena, they really benefit from a little bit of shade. There are not many plants that can handle full sun in Pasadena in Southern California because full sun is intense. But those proteas can. The ones that are from like the crazy, you know, burning hot places in Australia and South Africa, they're awesome. Anyway, I digress a lot. do. They do best. With warm days and cool nights, don't we all? Okay, anyway, so that's Pellergonium. Now I'm going to jump right ahead to Penstemons. Now, garden Penstemon. So again, this is like a 2 to 4 feet tall, 3 feet wide. So this is a little bit different. I mean, Betty plants are usually like, you know, less than 10 inches even. They're small things. So anyway, so this garden Penstemon, where was the center of origin, is the western U.S. So I did put a little note in here. There are a lot of really, really gorgeous native Penstemons. So these garden Penstemons, which are, you know, hybrids of I don't even know what, and probably you could find out if you were interested. You know, they're okay, but like, why not just grow one of the native Penstemons? I don't know. Sometimes people have weird notions that like, but the natives aren't as pretty. And that might be the case. A lot of the nativars, cultivated forms of the native varieties, have been actually selected for specific traits like having more flowers or having a little more compact growth so it's not so sprawly. But that's not true for all of them. Anyway, so here's the garden Penstemons and the Plantagenaceae, like the plantain, and the Lamiales, which is the order. Compact, bushy, upright plants with narrow, they do have really skinny little lint-shaped leaves. The flowers can be up to 2 inches long, and they're nice tubular flowers the bees like to go in. And loose spikes at the stem ends, and they come in a wide variety of colors. They have that fused corolla. Mostly they're in reds and blues, but they come in a lot of other colors. I think it says no blues. That is too funny. I swear to God. This is straight out of Sunset. Except blue and yellow. Most common in bright reds and blues. I think maybe, I swear there's a blue Penstemon, so I'm just gonna There we go, look at that. Hopefully that's more accurate now. So yeah, these usually look good like in a big, you know, it's like a whole bed of red. It's kind of a cool thing aesthetically speaking, but also kind of good for the bees. Fairly wide range of zones that they grow in, but you could grow outside of that range and grow them as annuals. I think it said this on the next one, but I think this is true of these guys too, that they probably do best with a little bit of pruning in the winter. Otherwise they get very sprawly, like the stems just kind of move along the ground, and it's just not very attractive. It's kind of loose growth. So if you trim them back, they stay a little bit more dense. It says if you want to grow them as perennials, you should plant them in the fall, which is true for most things that you want to grow here, especially natives. And yeah, sorry, I forgot about the pictures. So it's a pretty bed right there. Yeah, those are nice flowers for the bees. They love them. I didn't include a picture of the bees. This is not a very good picture, sorry. That was the first one that I found. I probably should have deleted it, but you can see the Penstemon right there, so kind of how it looks in the garden. Here's some close-ups of the flowers. They have that lip that also has all these UV signals to bees to like, land here, nectar right here. Uh-oh, Lord, now my husband's coming home with kids. Quick, move on to the next one, sage. So this is Salvia gregii, autumn sage. And it is usually red flowers, but you can see that it also has some varieties that are pink. I'm moving through this really fast, I'm so sorry. This is in the Lamiaceae family, which is known for having square stems and opposite leaves. And I see that that's all I included in the identifying features, and I will change that later. Makes a nice low hedge, very good in a drought-tolerant garden. But this one, and this is true even of most natives, you want to water them when they're young. Give them moderate water, but regular water as they're growing, like maybe even for the first year. And then as they get older, they have much better ability to tolerate drought. Sorry. Full sun or part shade. This is typical of everything, especially in the hottest areas. Blooms best with moderate water. They're 1 to 4 feet tall and wide, and their center of origin is southwest Texas and north central Mexico. I've got kids like crawling under them so they don't interrupt. Anyway, here we go. If you live in a colder area, it will die back in the winter, but then it will grow. That's really all I have to say about that. Look, pretty pictures of salvia. And there's a million pictures of salvias with big bumblebees too. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.